It was the kind of winter day that slipped beneath your skin, a quiet, biting cold that didn't shout, just lingered. Snow fell softly on the cracked sidewalks of Detroit, painting the city in hushed whites and grays. People walked quickly, collars up, eyes down, doing what they could to stay warm, stay busy, stay away from trouble. It was just another Tuesday. For Malcolm Hayes, every day was a quiet battle. A war of minutes and dimes. He was 41, tall and lean, with calloused hands and kind eyes. His jacket was older than some of the buildings on Jefferson Avenue, and his work boots bore the story of every step he'd taken since he was laid off from the auto plant 3 years ago. Still, he never stopped trying. Every morning, Malcolm rose before the sun, walked down to the shelter to help serve breakfast, and then headed to his part-time janitor job at a nearby high school. He didn't have much. Not a car. Not a house. Not even a phone some days when his minutes ran out. But Malcolm had something not even money could buy, dignity. And that morning, as he walked into the faded corner diner to spend his last $10 on the cheapest hot meal he could find, he carried that dignity with him like armor. The bell above the door jingled softly as he stepped inside. The heat hit him like a hug. The place smelled of bacon grease and worn-out coffee. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm, and that was enough. As Malcolm slid into his usual booth near the back, he saw her. Curled in a corner seat, her coat more holes than fabric, shoes soaked through. She couldn't have been more than 10 or 11. A little white girl, pale and thin, with tangled blonde hair and eyes far too old for her small face. She sat like she was trying to disappear, a napkin clutched in her trembling hands. He watched as the waitress passed her by, not unkindly, just busy. Malcolm's heart ached. He knew that look, the one kids wore when they'd learned too early that the world wasn't fair. He knew it because he'd worn it once, too. She glanced at him, startled. Malcolm gave a small, tired smile. She looked away. When the waitress came to take his order, Malcolm asked softly, "Can I get 2 pancakes, scrambled eggs, and toast, and whatever she wants too?" The waitress blinked. "You sure, Malcolm? That'll run you." "I'm sure," he said, reaching into his pocket. He handed over all he had. A crumpled $10 bill and 3 quarters. The girl looked up, stunned. I don't need." "Didn't say you needed," Malcolm said gently. "Said I wanted to." She stared at him, unsure whether to trust kindness. Eventually, she whispered, "Thank you." They ate mostly in silence. Malcolm didn't ask her name. Didn't press. She devoured the food like she hadn't eaten in days, and maybe she hadn't. When they were done, he stood and gave her a nod. "Take care of yourself, all right?" She nodded. "You too." And just like that, he walked out, disappearing into the cold, unaware that the girl was still watching him through the frost-covered window. 3 weeks passed. Malcolm went on as usual. Shoveling snow, mopping school hallways, handing out gloves at the shelter when he could find extras. He didn't think much about the girl. Not because he didn't care, but because caring had never been about reward. Until one Thursday afternoon, when everything changed. He was walking home from his shift, passing the same diner, when a sleek black SUV pulled up beside him. The windows tinted. The kind of car that didn't belong on his street. The passenger door opened, and a tall, clean-cut man stepped out, wearing a navy coat that probably cost more than Malcolm's yearly wages. Behind him, another figure emerged. A girl. Her. Only now, she looked different, clean, warm, safe. Her hair was brushed, her cheeks fuller. But it was her, unmistakably. She ran to him before he could even register what was happening. "You remembered me," she said, smiling wide. "You saved me." He blinked. "I just bought you breakfast." "No," she said, eyes shining. "You saw me." The man approached, eyes misty. "Mr. Hayes," he said, offering a hand. "I'm Richard Bloom. Was her father." Malcolm stared at him, confused. "I'd been looking for her for weeks," the man continued. "Emma ran away after her mom passed. She couldn't handle how distant I'd become. I was lost in grief, in work. I didn't even know how bad things had gotten for her. She wouldn't answer calls. No one knew where she'd gone. Until she came home." Emma nodded. "I came back because of what he did," she whispered, pointing at Malcolm. "I thought the world didn't care. That I didn't matter. But one stranger, who had almost nothing, treated me like I mattered. That's what brought me home." Malcolm was speechless. Richard smiled. "I run a nonprofit for at-risk youth in Chicago. And now, we're expanding. I want to offer you a job. Full-time. Head of outreach. Benefits. Housing. Whatever you need." Malcolm took a step back, overwhelmed. "Sir, I'm just a janitor." "No," Richard said, "you're a hero. And we need more men like you." Months later, Malcolm stood in a brand new office in Chicago, dressed in a sharp blazer someone else had insisted he wear. Outside, kids played in a snow-covered courtyard, safe and warm. Emma visited often, sometimes helping him hand out backpacks or reading to the younger kids. She never stopped calling him Mr. Malcolm, and he never stopped smiling when she did. He still walked to work some days, even though he had a car now. Said it helped him stay grounded. Said the cold reminded him of where he came from, and why it mattered. And every Sunday morning, without fail, he sat in the same booth at the same corner diner, quietly paying for one extra meal, in case someone, somewhere, needed to be seen. Because one act of kindness, one plate of pancakes, had changed everything.